went to the queen to tell her her subjects had no bread. Do you know what she said?
Let them eat cake.
Here, take the bomb.
We're getting screwed, man. Every time we turn around, we're getting screwed. Oh, the revolution's going to be through podcasting for sure. That's the only way we talk. It's the little guys that take the brunt of everything. It's got to stop. Peasants, man. We're just peasants. Every one of us. You watch those old movies, you see the peasants in the background with the kings and queens walking around. We're those people. We're those people. Good morning, peasants. Welcome to another episode of The Peasant's Perspective, the best show streaming on Rumble at 6:30 a.m. PST.
Yes.
We own our slot. There's no one else that starts their show at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Good morning, Carlito Tiffany. Well, good morning from Texas. Carlitos, good morning from Texas. John Atakis, good morning. Glad you guys all made it today. So Trump was spotted just hanging around up outside of Greenland. I don't know if you saw this or not.
No. What? Oh, I got no sound.
Oh, no, not AI. We have to have the audio. Oh, my goodness.
I think I heard how's it going?
Day. One of our listeners, Doug, he says he appreciates the audio. It's like you're going through a growth curve. Okay, here we go.
Dad
just hanging around Greenland.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Me? Just hanging around.
Hanging around. Trump's just hanging around doing his thing. Meanwhile, guess what happened yesterday up in Alberta? They had their big initiative.
Oh,
they had to sign like a referendum type thing in order to succeed from Canada. So this is footage from the wait line to sign the petition to get succession on the ballot.
oh my gosh.
They only need 177,000 signatures.
2 hours after it started, outside the lineup. These people are all lined up to still sign.
Hey.
So they need 7,000 people across Alberta.
I think they got it.
That's just one of the signing locations. They're like, we're up here. Imagine that here, right? You have to go out and scuttle signatures out in front of Walmart and all the different places. But these guys are so dedicated to democracy and taking their Alberta back. They'll line up in the freezing cold in order to vote their way out. But about this voting thing. So it turns out our own state of Washington just had an apartment manager out in Pasco, Washington was indicted because they were filling out all of the ballots for their apartment complex.
Oh.
Filling out and submitting ballots from her former tenants.
In Franklin County, an apartment manager with access to ballots from former tenants allegedly abusing the system. This confirmed by Detective Andrew Gardner in his investigation.
I was able to identify several other ballots that looked to be looked to have characteristics on the signature line that were not consistent with the signatures on file.
Investigators say 4 ballots were illegally submitted, with 3 being counted in the 2024 general election. The outlier was rejected because of a mismatched signature.
This case is still open, and we are still collecting information from community members that may have been affected by this.
According to the sheriff's office, the woman admitted to voting all 4 ballots and forging the signatures. She was booked into Franklin County Jail for 12 felony charges related to
She was booked into jail for 12 felony charges for voting 4 extra ballots that were confirmed that she voted. Don't we have undercover footage of like actual secretaries of state stuffing ballot boxes?
Like tens of thousands of them.
Yeah, like stacks of them. Like she just got booked into county jail in Washington state, by the way.
For four.
Okay, so they take it serious. Like 1 is enough to serve a year sentence. You know what I mean? Yeah. And you've got people out there in Georgia, especially. I mean, they've got them on tape, just stuffing the ballot.
As soon as I heard this story, I thought, wow, is this the power of BlackRock?
You be owning the apartment complex?
Yeah.
I don't know the whole story there, but basically what it looks like is she had access to the ballots, like it was coming in the mail, and she just pulled out what she saw were ballots and just voted for them.
Oh, okay.
You know? Hey, what are the odds that they voted for Democrat candidates, that she filled out all 4 ballots for a Democrat candidate.
Well, I don't know. I mean, maybe she's really conservative. I don't know.
It's so funny because down in Texas,
my laugh should tell you.
in 2021, down in Texas, they were like, we're going to go after voter fraud. And they arrested like 2 Republicans for like, one Republican voted his wife's ballot in Virginia in Texas, from Texas. Right?
Okay.
It was like, oh, look, we found voter fraud. Here's 2 instances of it. It's like
technicalities.
Everywhere we turn, we see broken institutions. We see societal dysfunction. We see up is down, down is up, left is right, right is left, good is bad, bad is good. The criminals are the heroes are the criminals.
Mm-hmm.
We see it left and right. People are done with it. They just want a return to law and order. This is Mark Mitchell, Rasmussen lead. I guess he's kind of owns Rasmussen polling or whatever, but he talks about people just want a return to order.
And so here's where I think it matters. Like, this is not the same America 10 years ago that kind of cared about the Constitution and all the finer details about entitlement reform and red versus blue policy. No, again, these people think the system has failed. They want a brutal return to order, and they want people held accountable. And so what Trump could do between now and November is just like surge these cities with everybody. Yeah. Like, forget just ICE. People protest ICE. Are people going to protest the United States Marine Corps? Let's, use the Insurrection Act. Or what about all those 80,000 armed IRS troops that we never fired? Like, let's get some people up there. Let's do it in California. Let's do it in New York. Let's do it in New Jersey. And make it lay bare.
Okay.
Mark, you got to know those 86,000 IRS agents. They're over at Department of Homeland Security being trained right now. Marizel says, good morning, all. Pray the rosary daily. Hi, everyone. And John Atakis, she just had a different view of every vote counts.
That's right.
So this is Joy Reid. I'll never forget sitting in prison watching Joy Reid on MSDNC at the time. And she had a nightly show. It was on at the same time as Laura Ingraham. And that was the hour that we had set aside on the white inmate TV in order to watch the news every day. So we would watch the Laura Ingraham show, and we'd flip over to Newsmax and watch Rob Smith. And then, of course, we'd flip over to CNN and MSDNC from time to time just to see what they were talking about, kind of commercial breaks. But one day we flipped over to Joy Reid, and she was just going off about January 6ers and how they're about to be pardoned, and Trump's going to release all these violent felons who've assaulted officers into your communities, and now your local law enforcement's going to have to deal with them at the local Walmart. And I'm like, oh my God.
They're going to be overwhelmed.
Everybody in the TV room's looking at me like, so when you go home, you're going to go like, shoot up the Walmart? Probably not. It's probably not in my characteristics, right? But Joy Reid was on the Way Up podcast, and she was talking about Renee Good, or heroin. Lesbian white female up in Minnesota that decided
be good, do good.
Yeah, Renee Good that decided to try to run over an ICE officer. Turns out we're finding a little bit more about her. She was part of a very organized group that was getting training on exactly how to disrupt ICE operations.
This woman was part of a group of people who they trained to try to be ICE interrupters. And what they try to do is observe what ICE is doing, film them, and try to use their white privilege, to be honest. They're mainly white people.
Which is what we ask.
Which is what we ask them to do, right? Because black people, like, we can't put our bodies on the line because cops will shoot us. And so the presumption had been, particularly a white woman, because remember, part of the rationale for doing this with ICE is to save white women, pristine white women, from being ravaged by, criminal brown men. So white women, have been taking the lead in being the ones to step forward.
White women, we need to prevent them from being ravaged by criminal brown men. And we need those white women to put their bodies on the line, because the black women, they'll be shot if the blacks try to protest.
We can't put our bodies on the line.
Do you know how many times I heard that in prison? Well, you guys are lucky you were white. If you weren't, the cops would have shot you on January 5th. I'm like, they did shoot us. Thank you very much. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Renee Good, this is coming from the New York Post. Renee Good's Minnesota ICE Watch group shared manual on detailing how to arrest and launch a micro intifada. So while I read this, just show my face here in case we decide to clip it later. The Minnesota ICE Watch group, which slain Minneapolis protester Renee Good was a member, shared a detailed manual providing instructions on fighting police officers to free arrested radicals from their grasp, comparing each de-arrest to a micro intifada. The de-arrest primer manual was reposted on Instagram in June by Minnesota Ice Watch, part of a loose collective of agitators to teach members how to disrupt law enforcement officers performing their duties, including ICE agents. And it actually has little graphs in here on how to break the wrist of or break the grip of cops and things like that. Yeah, pretty cool. Okay. So it has a thorough training. Each chapter is a thorough training for breaking a grip. Try striking the grip. The manual advises while warning that making physical contact with a law enforcement officer, quote, can get construed as assault in court. Yes, it can. 100%. And add my witness to that. Tactic 3 encourages readers to open unlocked doors of law enforcement vehicles containing suspects to let them out. A move it acknowledges could be considered a crime. Could be sitting in a jailbreak, because that's essentially what it is. I know in prison, if you even look at the door crosswise, they'll add 5 years to your sentence.
This book sounds like it's something that the Onion could use to create like a whole...
Seriously, right? The fourth and final tactic involves pressuring cops to simply release individuals they've taken into custody, quote, totally surrounding the officers or otherwise blocking them and or their vehicle and chanting, let them go, until law enforcement officers cave to the mounting pressure. The manual boasts that this particular technique has, quote, come out of Palestine Solidarity campus occupations. An illustration on the final page of the manual shows a pair of protesters trying to free somebody being arrested from an officer's arm with the captions, each de-arrest is a shaking off, of which is to say each one is a micro intifada, which can spread and inspire others until we may finally shake off the noxious ruling order altogether. This is called an insurrection. Intifada is just an Islamic word for insurrection. I don't know how else to consider that. Intifada typically refers to two distinct historical periods in which terrorists committed acts of violence against Israeli civilians, including suicide bombings, shootings, and stabbings, targeting people on city buses, eating in restaurants or at nightclubs, resulting in over 1,000 people killed. Anti-Defamation League writes. Globalize the Intifada are generally understood as a call for indiscriminate violence against Israel and potentially against Jews and Jewish institutions worldwide. And I don't know if you've paid attention at all, but a lot of people think that Israel runs our government. A lot of people, including Kanye West himself, believe that Jews run the world. So anything to take down patriarchy or law and order or Judeo-Christian society can be construed as a way to get rid of the what was the phrase that they used? The noxious government or whatever it is. Okay? Now, CNN has been covering all this chaos going on in Minnesota, right? So they're out covering all these protests. Now, as you can imagine, if you're a far left agitator protester, you want to protest, you want to disrupt ICE operations, and you want all the camera angles to be right. You don't want them to know about Renee Good's background. You don't want them to see her, running into the car. You don't want to be doxxed. You just want to go out, cause a stink, try to disrupt ICE, save a couple Tren de Agua members on your local streets, that kind of thing. So a lot of protesters will walk up to anybody with a camera to start probing them, because there's a 50-50 shot at least that it's a right-winger trying to get an angle that's going to discredit your movement, right? So CNN is out at one of these localized protests. It's not huge from the aerial footage and things like that, 40, 50 people, something to that effect. Someone comes up to the CNN reporter and really wants to get in her business about, what are you recording?
Smaller crowd. This is controlled. The scene spans several blocks. We are here at Portland Avenue and East 35th, but it goes at least 2 or 3 blocks. Who are you? Who do you work for? Thank you. Hold on. I'm sorry. We're with CNN. It's okay. Thank you. Thank you for your help. I'm sorry. I think people are getting upset.
But you're on our side. So if you ever wondered if people in the global intifada have their preferred news sources, that's proof right there. Oh, CNN, you're the mostly peaceful people. We can burn a building and you'll call it a nice, productive protest. Okay. Ponyboy says, I seen a video of a black man asking, I saw a video. I seen a video of a black man asking where all of the Somalian protesters protesting for Renee Good. Why aren't they chanting her name? He said, because you're being used as pawns. Yep. So this is this is the lieutenant governor of Minnesota. Now, she's the one about a week and a half ago. We played a clip of her dressed up in the hijab being like, we love the Somalis. This is my friend. She's Somalian and we've known each other for years, right? So she is really mad upset because the first thing that Donald Trump signed into law, the first bill that was voted on, was the Laken Riley Act. Who's Laken Riley? She was the young woman that was killed in Georgia by the Tren de Agua member. She was brutally raped and murdered. Anyways, it was a really ugly killing. But this Tren de Agua member had been paroled into the U.S., flown up to New York, then flown down to Georgia, all on the government's dime, all being flown around by DHS. Meanwhile, he's a known criminal, been to prison, the whole thing. Shouldn't be here. Definitely shouldn't be getting hotel stays and plane tickets. Okay. Anyways, he killed Laken Riley in a vicious, vicious manner. And so the Laken Riley Act is designed for people that are, reentry offenders, have a criminal record. They can't get out on bond. They can't get out on bail.
Okay.
Right? It's this idea that, hey, listen,
And somebody's got a problem with that.
Yeah. The lieutenant governor.
Way back at the beginning of this second Trump administration, the very first vote that was taken under this Trump administration was for the Laken Riley Act, which strips immigrants of due process. Minnesotans deserve better. Our immigrant neighbors deserve better. Way back at the beginning of
they deserve better. Wrong.
No. She said that sentence wrong. She said that immigrants are being stripped. No, those are criminals, retard.
Yeah, and when we think of Democrats and we think of the left, and we just play this clip from the lieutenant governor, and it's like, these are violent criminals. Who cares? Right?
Yeah.
Like, listen, I've got as much sympathy for anybody in prison. I mean, I can tell you 50% of the federal prison population probably could get paroled out right now, and America wouldn't be any worse. In fact, you might make some friends if you let a few people out early. But at the same time, we need our jails to work, and we have to punish and deter illegal criminal behavior, right? So it makes us wonder, who are these people that stand up for the left, that stand up for these progressives that are literally throwing dynamite at the foundations of our society?
Yeah.
Well, we know about who they are. This is what I imagine when I think of the left.
This is what Republicans think Democrats are like. We wake up bright and early in our polycule ready to fight for Antifa against Christian values and the patriarchy. For breakfast, we have a balanced meal of clinical grade antidepressants, Adderall, and estrogen. Thanks, Obamacare.
We then flush the leftovers to make sure the fish turn gay and Venezuelan. Oh, and I almost forgot. We have to feed the illegal immigrants and MS-13 gang members we're hiding from ICE. They're so grateful.
Next, we drop off one of our polycule for her weekly abortion. After her 10th, she gets one free. Then we start our workday with the Trans Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the day of the fascist state of America and to the republic would have fallen trans rights for illegal migrants.
After that, a training on affordable childcare best practices. Now it's time to figure out who we're going to cancel next. Not sure yet, as long as we ruin someone's promising career. Finally, we donate our welfare money to Somali daycare centers that are totally real and open.
Now it's time to get some fresh air, and on the way we do some mobile activism against the far-right establishment. Then we swing by Antifa headquarters, conveniently disguised as a public library. Once inside, we attend our mandatory drag story hour. On the way home from Antifa HQ, we drop off another polycule member for her weekly abortion.
For dinner, we eat cruelty-free lettuce because we believe animals have more right to live than white men. Finally, we end our day in an anxiety-riddled catatonic state due to Trump derangement syndrome.
And that's our day.
And that's our day.
Sounds about right.
Sounds about right. You got to be about that. We wake up in our polycule. We go drop off one of our polycule members for her weekly abortion.
Sometimes these people use words I don't even know what they mean. What in the hell is a polycule?
Oh my gosh. So, do you know what polyamory is?
Not really.
It's just polygamy. It's the modern version of polygamy, but it's just the idea that you can love more than one person.
Okay.
And so the polyamory is not just
I love everybody, but I don't have sex with everybody.
Well, that's what polyamory is.
Okay.
So
now
your polycule is your little 4-way marriage or whatever.
Ugh.
Whatever it is. Anyways, okay. Now, it's easy to look at that and joke, but we just heard the lieutenant governor of Minnesota being like, how dare we keep these immigrant criminals in prison when they commit violent crimes? Yeah. How dare we do that? Well, you've got Judge Boasberg, who he's got a sword story. He's been involved in a whole bunch of stuff, but he was involved in the Maryland dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
What was Garcia, Brego Garcia or whatever?
Yep.
MS-13, human trafficker, gets arrested, gets deported, goes down to El Salvador. Then the senator from Maryland flies down to El Salvador, has margaritas with him. Guy gets brought back to the U.S., then he gets released, then he gets rearrested. His saga has just been like in and out. And different people have taken up his cause. For the most part, the zeitgeist has moved off him, this Maryland dad. But as far as a legal process, it's still going on. So Judge Boasberg wanted not only him returned to the United States, but he wanted the other 137, Venezuelans that were deported around his time to be brought back to the United States from CCOT to be given due process. Okay, so
and not because he's a citizen, just because he needs due process.
Yes. So Marco Rubio had to respond in a court filing as to why we are not going to be bringing back these deported Venezuelans because you got your panties in a bunch ordering a plane that was already in the air to turn around.
All right, let's hear some words that make sense.
Yeah. So he goes this. He goes, in my consideration, consider judgment as the nation's chief diplomat, I assess that introducing the matter of the disposition of the 137 class members into this discussion. So this is discussions with the Delcy Rodriguez, the acting president of Venezuela, and everything they're doing down there, would risk material damage to U.S. foreign policy interests in Venezuela. This assessment holds true whether the proposal is to transport class members to a U.S. jurisdiction or to arrange remote hearings from Venezuela. Remote hearings also present a serious risk of intentional interference by anti-American elements in Venezuela and would undermine the interests of justice. So we'll see if Judge Boasberg takes that wave off by the Secretary of State of the United States as sufficient. We'll find out. I don't know. There is so much fraud everywhere. It is honestly the biggest open door for Donald Trump to walk through if he can capitalize. We heard earlier Mark Mitchell talking about how people are kind of done with the policy debate. I don't care about tax rates. Are you going to clean up the deep state? I don't care about tax rates. Are you going to fix monetary and fiscal policy? Right. Overall, like big picture.
Right.
stuff.
And if he attacks those things, he will probably be the most popular president ever.
Exactly. Which is what Mark Mitchell goes on to emphasize.
Well, I was roasting Minnesota fraud, and I think this is the biggest opportunity that Trump has been given this year. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it looks like Republicans just don't have a stiff enough upper lip to actually govern this country. Maybe we'll get some good stuff in the reconciliation bills. I don't know. They seem even incapable of talking about what their plans are for this year, and that's horrifying. Democrats are up 4. I mean, I guess it could be worse, but Trump captured the zeitgeist of the youth. He was the most popular. His job approval rating was the highest when he was taking a chainsaw to the federal government. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it would appear that Republicans sent Doge packing out of D.C. on a rail. Well, here we are again. America is being reminded that probably 10% of our annual federal expenditure is waste, fraud, and abuse in a very, very visible, egregious way where Americans, I think, are demanding aggressive action.
We want absolutely aggressive action. Whoever takes aggressive action is going to win. Where's my Franco, as they say, right? Who saves the country breaks no laws. People don't care about the ticky-tacky stuff because the system itself has become so corrupted. So we know what's going on with the Somali ring migrant fraud that spans from Minnesota to Maine to Ohio, all the way here to Washington State.
And we're still just watching it happen.
We're just watching it happen. Now, the Somalis got their beaks wet. They dipped in and got in on it. There are other migrant groups that have not gotten in on it, but are being similarly taken advantage of. Hondurans, Guatemalans, Mexicans, right? Afghanis, all of these migrant groups are being taken advantage of. And it's everything. Homeless group as well. Everything that goes into these services does not provide what's advertised, but it provides an amazing grift. So this is from the main investigator that helped Nick Shirley identify which daycare centers to go look at in Minnesota. He goes, there's more than just the daycares. There's transportation and
there's food.
There's transportation and interpretation services that are also being grifted.
When a Somali goes to the doctor, magically they forgot how to speak English, so they need an interpreter there. So the county brings in an interpreter at $100 an hour, minimum 8 hours, to interpret what the doctor is telling the patient.
So that's another layer of fraud that nobody's even talked about or revealed.
And it's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of dollars all on its own. Interpreter services.
Because what percentage do you think of these people, especially if they were born here in the United States, they speak English, right?
Of course they do.
They should not be saying no English.
And then remember, the interpreter has to get to the doctor's office or the hospital. How are they getting there? The transportation company, and then they got to get back home. And that patient had to get to the doctor's office. How? Transportation. Kids got to get to school. How? Transportation. That's why I said the transportation is the hub of, really, I think, all of this.
So basically what we're talking about between all these fraudulent businesses, the daycare, the autism centers, the adult daycare, the home services, and then the transportation. And then on top of that, you have it looped in with them going eventually to the doctors for translators to be paid by the state.
That's exactly what's happening, yes.
And click right here to see what
these guys' whole lives, almost everything they do. There's, I'm getting paid to drive you.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
You.
Like, man, pretty soon they'll
to
be
watch
getting
your kids that I never watch. I'm getting paid to give childcare to your autistic kid that's not autistic, actually has a high IQ, which is rare for smallies. You know what I mean?
Maybe pretty soon they'll be getting paid to take a piss. Jeez.
Yeah, evacuation services. Why not? So this is Mayor Jacob Fry of Minneapolis, and he's on with Kristen Welker on Meet the Press, and he kind of spills the beans. Where does all this fraud originate from? Well, one man.
Of dollars of taxpayer money for government programs. Do you think Governor Walz did enough to stop the fraud in your state? And do you support his decision not to run for re-election?
Well, look, Governor Walz is the reason that we've got paid family leave in Minnesota. He's the reason we've got free school lunches. Him and I, we've been through thick and thin.
But did he do enough to combat fraud,
over these
Mayor?
Did
he do enough to combat fraud?
Look, obviously, everybody could have done more to prevent fraud. And I think that's a fair point to make. You do more to prevent fraud. And you look what he's doing right now. He's setting up a whole bunch of infrastructure to do that. And by the way, look, the fraud's real. We've all got to acknowledge it. The fraud is...
Wait, you couldn't acknowledge it last?
Do you see the smile? Yes.
Very real. And by the way, when somebody commits fraud, and there are many that have done that, you investigate it, you charge, you prosecute, and you put the person in jail as an individual. You put the person in jail as an individual. You do not hold an entire community, any community, accountable for the actions of individuals.
Yes, you do. All the time. All the time. Isn't that what J6 was? I know you tried to pin it on me personally, but I'm pretty sure you were just upset at Donald Trump.
We got to send a signal.
We got to send.
Remember that part.
Now, fortunately, in Minnesota, there's a little bit of progress. Articles of impeachment have been filed at the state level. Mike Weiner of the House of Representatives in the state of Minnesota has officially filed articles of impeachment against Governor Tim Walz, initiating the impeachment process in the Minnesota House of Representatives. What do you think? What's the over-under on this actually getting a vote and making it to the Senate and him being removed from office?
0.
0? That's not where I put it too. Although, it is kind of an abandoned ship situation. Even here in Washington State, you have politicians like our dear friend Lisa Wellman. She's the one who introduced the bill in Washington State to cover up any daycare fraud by making it so you couldn't look up these centers and the phone numbers and addresses. Well, she mysteriously pulled her bill that would have hidden certain details about daycares. It's unclear why she's doing this now. Regardless, many constituents are demanding an investigation into Somali daycare fraud allegations. So it's not just Minnesota. Like I mentioned, Maine, Ohio, and Washington State, we all have our Somali population centers.
Pricked her conscience, or maybe.
Something pricked her conscience, or just like, hey, you don't want this smoke?
Yeah.
You don't have the donation.
They're actually charging people.
Your campaign. You're just helping a lady who recruited you to run years ago. You slipped a bill in. You haven't read it. Totally exposed when she got interviewed by the guy. Well, send me the information. I'll take a look at it. Why would you cover up for this? Right? Clearly, why would you cover up for this? Now, here's why. Because politicians themselves are likely involved in this fraud, including our favorite, Ilhan Omar and her swaddling hijab.
Spent last week in Minneapolis, and there's two parallel stories. I mean, there is a panic within the Somali community. They've been found out for these massive fraud schemes, daycares, transportation, fake autism services, the whole 9 yards. But the political question is very important. And my sources in Minneapolis state government say that there are open inquiries into the potential involvement at the highest level of Minnesota politics. And so I think people will be taking a hard look, not only at Governor Tim Walz, but also Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and State Attorney General Keith Ellison. We know that they have connections with convicted fraudsters. The question is, were they merely complicit in these schemes, or were they part of a broader conspiracy? We don't have strong evidence now, but I think people are starting to take a look.
Well, what we do know is that Ellison promised these guys he'd make the investigation go away, and then he got money as a donation. We know that whistleblowers alerted the Walz administration, and he didn't take any action. And we know a couple of these people, like Omar, got money from these convicted fraudsters as political donations. Are you saying that there could have been a conspiracy to move the welfare fraud money into their war chests?
It's certainly possible. And I think the person, and really I'm grateful for it, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, has all the tools at his disposal to actually investigate the money trail, to figure out how the money flowed between these fake nonprofits and Somali fraudsters and Minnesota politicians. And I'll tell you, the atmosphere in Minneapolis was electric. I mean, people had the sense of anticipation. Something big is coming. And look, I hope they get to the bottom of it, because we're talking about, some estimates upward of $9 billion stolen. These politicians seem to, at a minimum, have turned a blind eye to the fraud, or even directed people below them to take steps so that it wasn't uncovered. This scandal is not over, and I think it could end with significant action. And again, I think Secretary Bessent is the right man for the job. I actually said last week,
it could end with significant action if Donald Trump took massive action and went ahead and rolled everybody up that was involved in the Somali fraud. He'd probably be more popular than Teddy Roosevelt, right? Because apparently the polling is saying every decisive action he takes that is aggressive, that's whined about in the media and in the news, polls higher than Donald Trump himself, which means Donald Trump is being weak compared to what the majority of Americans would do. Now, one of the things Chris Rufo mentioned there was that this entire trap is kind of being set, right? Like, okay, who's involved? We know Tim Walz from Mayor Frey just said, well, it's because of him that we have all these great programs. It's because of him everybody's childcare is free, right? So we know Tim Walz is involved. You just heard Christopher Rufo just mention Keith Ellison. Well, and Ilhan Omar. Well, here is Scott Bessent. This is a clip we have played, but it's incredibly important because remember, Keith Ellison is on tape basically saying, I'll make an investigation into crime go away, and then accepted money from those same people who were being investigated.
Ooh.
And what Scott Bessent here says is something very key. When the bear trap snaps.
Sort of following the money, there are evidently some disturbing tapes of A.G. Ellison in meetings with people who donated to him, them calling for political favors to stop the investigations. So we'll see. But again, I don't want to get out ahead of the investigations. It's going to be very methodical. And Chris, I can guarantee you, when the bear trap snaps, we're going to get these folks. And again, we're going to follow the money, whether it's over the two counties here, in Minneapolis, St. Paul's, or whether it's to East Africa. And there's tons of luxury properties, cars that have been bought over there, and sort of following the money.
So they're going to just chase the money down, and when the bear trap springs, you're going to grab everybody. Now, remember when Chris Rufo said, these politicians have taken donations from convicted fraudsters, that's like one big fraud case that had 78 people in on it. It's not like they took over half the community, or no, there's one big case that we know about. So all these politicians were taking donations from this one particular group, which, by the way, when you look at what I've read, they're not even close to the biggest game in town. They just got caught first, right? Now, the big linchpin in all of this is obviously they're going to chase down the Somali fraud. And one of the things that you learn really quick when you get into prison is loose lips. Loose lips sink ships, right? Snitches get stitches, because snitches are often the only way that you can get the information a prosecutor needs in order to get a conviction, right? Information is always key. So if the Somali fraudsters all shut up, if they all remain silent and they all don't talk, it's going to be very difficult to find out where all this money went. But here's the problem.
They're already talking.
They're not. It's not that they're already talking. It's that there's a cultural trait amongst these Somalis. It's this trait of grift. Everybody's got to get theirs. Nobody really does favors. So let's say you wanted to bribe off a juror and you had budgeted around $200,000 to bribe off a juror. How much do you think is reasonable for the middleman who's going to drop off the brown paper bag full of cash? How much do you think is appropriate for them to take out of the envelope?
I'm not a criminal, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, turns out
the streets of Minneapolis. And one thing I'd like to talk about with you that is related to this whole architecture of intimidation is that there are 501c3 nonprofit groups that are funded by left-wing dark money that are organizing, or at least at arm's length, encouraging criminal activities, criminal protests, criminal
obstruction of federal officers, including
Did we not just validate and read all of that? They had a handbook on how to do it.
ICE agents. Is the Treasury looking into this? Is this something that you have authority to crack down on, and what can we expect?
Yes, and yes. So these groups are engaging in this. We have the authority, and we are examining them, because when you see these protesters, someone is financing them. There are safe houses that when you see the 300 people with the same laser that they're using to blind DHS agents in courthouses in Portland, someone bought those lasers. And again, what we do is follow the money, just like we followed it with the mafia, just like we follow it with the drug cartels. And we will find out who's done this. I announced today that we are going to put in effect a whistleblower program. And my sense is that the rats will turn on each other. That, as I believe you reported or someone talked about in the roundtable today, one of the Somali fraudsters tried to bribe a juror with $120,000. What turned out, she'd been given $200,000 to bribe the juror, and she skimmed $80,000. Like it's like the scorpion; it's in their nature.
It's in their nature. So that is going to be the linchpin. Hey, you're in trouble. You stole $2,000. You're looking at 5 years in prison. Oh my gosh. Well, my cousin Somali over here, he took 10. The guy who took 10's like, he took 100. The guy who took 100 is like, Elon Omar.
And he's like, hold on, I only got $50.
Yeah. Wait a minute. You were getting $1,000 a day for my kid, only giving me $50? Yeah, exactly. All you offered me was free transportation to the doctor. It's pretty awesome. Okay. Janine Pirro, U.S. attorney in the District of Columbia, she had to respond to Jerome Powell's little video statement saying, this is all political. This is just because Trump doesn't like the fact that I won't lower interest rates. Janine Pirro said this: the United States Attorney's Office contacted the Federal Reserve on multiple occasions to discuss cost overruns and the chairman's congressional testimony, which is where there's alleged perjury that took place, but were ignored, necessitating the use of legal process, which is not a threat. The word indictment has come out of Mr. Powell's mouth. No one else's. None of this would have happened if they had just responded to our outreach. This office makes decisions based on merits, nothing more and nothing less. We agree with the chairman of the Federal Reserve that no one is above the law, and that's why we expect his full cooperation. So they were subpoenas associated with a criminal matter, maybe not a criminal indictment yet. So I'm guessing if they got subpoenas, they've got in front of a judge, they probably do have a grand jury impaneled. I don't know. Be kind of interesting to see where all that goes. At the end of the day, there's one solution to the madness that we see. The Democrats are going to have to take some of that medication, and not the Adderall and the estrogen pills that our
ivermectin
previous friends were taking. They're going to need a brain.
I used to believe everything I'd see on the news, but that's before I discovered a brain.
A brain is meant for everyday use. Those living with moderate to severe stupidity have seen immediate improvement in common sense with a brain.
I thought the government had my best interest at heart, and then a friend told me about a brain.
Talk to your doctor about what news sources you obey. A brain may also lower your desire to take life-altering advice from celebrities.
Getting lectured about my carbon footprint from people with 3 private jets used to make sense. But thanks to a brain, now I can think for myself every day. When my disregard for third-grade biology began to flare up, I knew it was time for a brain.
Do not try a brain if you're allergic to a brain. Common side effects may include accountability, discernment, homeschooling your kids, a better understanding of economics, awareness of the stupidity of socialism, and diarrhea.
For tethering yourself to reality, the only no-brainer is choosing a brain. Ask your doctor if a brain is right for you.
For more information, visit tryabrain.com.
They just need a prescription to try a brain, and maybe we can break them out of their polycules. It's really bad, you guys. I mean, they really do need a brain. Former congressional staffer from Glen Burnie accused of stealing 240 government phones. This is coming from Alex Mann at the Baltimore Banner. Former congressional staffer for Glen Burnie has been indicted in federal court on allegations that he stole and sold 240 government cell phones. This is such a waste of your entrepreneurial energy. Start a daycare, bro. Christopher Sutherland, 43, is charged with 1 count of theft of government property. He was indicted in October. 1 count for 240 phones, and his charging document was unsealed Thursday. Sutherland worked as a system administrator for the U.S. House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure from 2020 to 2023. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington said in the news release Monday, in that capacity, Sutherland had authority to order cell phones. From January to March 2023, he ordered 240 cell phones to his home in Glen Burnie. He allegedly sold at least 200 of these devices at a nearby pawn shop. The U.S. Attorney said there were only 80 employees of the committee during the time Sutherland ordered more than 200 phones. To avoid the House's mobile device management software, which enables the House to remotely secure and monitor its phones, Sutherland told the pawn shop to sell the phones in parts, prosecutor said. But one of the phones showed up on eBay whole, and when the purchaser first booted up the phone displayed a number for the House of Representatives Technology Service Desk. The U.S. Attorney's Office said the purchaser called that number. The House employees soon discovered that several phones purchased by Sutherland were unaccounted for. So he's going to jail. He needs a prescription for a brain for sure, because really, truly, if you had a brain, you'd open a daycare. You wouldn't be hawking cell phones. So back to Mark Mitchell again, with some more interesting stats here. So he's, again, emphasizing this fact that Donald Trump has not done enough, that the people want more. On both the left and the right, they want more.
And the other one is brutal government reform, which I would kind of give Trump sort of like a D- or F+ at, because we just haven't seen it. And the numbers are getting worse. Donald Trump was elected because people trusted him more than the federal government. And if he's not attacking the federal government, unfortunately, he's wrong. And so all of a sudden we see Right Direction has reclaimed low 40s. It's a solid 42% today, I think. And so that's good because we lost the 40% number. And so I think America is fundamentally behind Trump, and the polling says it. We had a poll from a week or two ago, and we asked America, has Trump delivered not enough or too much of what he promised? Only 21% of America says too much. 38% say not enough. And especially the younger voters, half of them say not enough. And the other one is,
when I say the buses will be free?
Yeah.
Half of the younger voters are like, it's not enough. What are you talking about? Due process? There's no due process. Voters overwhelmingly, again, support Trump's strong moves.
And America is being reminded that probably 10% of our annual federal expenditure is waste, fraud, and abuse in a very, very visible, egregious way where Americans, I think, are demanding aggressive action. And every one of the aggressive things that Trump has done that the press has, clutched their pearls and clucked their tongues about is actually more popular than Trump is. Arresting people for the auto pen, more popular than Trump is. Arresting people for, blowing up narco boats, like that was more popular than Trump is. Literally everything, including even nabbing Maduro, is more popular than Trump is. 51% approved of U.S. military action to capture Maduro. Only, 41% disapproved. Only 28% strongly disapproved.
Scott Adams always points out, anytime you get close to that 25% number in any poll, there's always 25% of people that pick the wrong answer for everything. So he's like, anytime you see 25% of people, or 28, 24, 26, just those are the idiots. Those are the people that you don't pay attention to. Those are the 10%, 12% on the extremes on both ends, right? They always get the wrong answer no matter what. So a new Gallup published this. New high of 45% in the U.S. identify as political independents. More independents lean Democrat than Republican, giving Democrats the edge in party affiliation for the first time since 2021. Washington, D.C., a record high 45% of U.S. adults identified as political independents, surpassing the 43% measured in 2014, 2023, and 2024. Meanwhile, equal shares of U.S. adults, 27% each, identified as either Democrats or Republicans. So essentially, when you're talking about party loyalists, the parties are pretty well matched. When you're talking about party influence, the Democrat Party has an outsized influence. And I think that a lot of that just has to do with the media zeitgeist and stuff like that, which is why we really need more commercials for medication like a brain. Because we really got to help those people on the Democrat end of the spectrum. An independent, right, when it says that they lean Democrat, these are your people that just want to see action. They just want to see common sense. They're not in the minutia of tax rates or tariffs versus open free trade, or they don't get into that. They just want to see safe streets, law and order, clear expectations day to day, clear expectations year to year. They want to plan their lives, take a part in the American dream. It's basic, simple stuff, right? What are we ready for?
No, trying, but
no shameless ad reads right now, huh?
Unavailable.
Rumble Wallet. What is that?
It just started working.
Boom!
Let's
Here we
try
go.
it.
Rumble Wallet.
They can freeze your accounts, shut off your cards, lock you out of your own money overnight. Banks don't protect you. They control you. That's why real financial freedom starts with ownership. Introducing Rumble Wallet, a wallet built for people who refuse to give up control. With Rumble Wallet, you don't just buy digital currency like Bitcoin and Tether. You can own Tether Gold, real gold, on the blockchain. Through Tether Gold, you get direct ownership of physical gold bars, each one fully allocated, verifiable by serial number, purity, and weight. This isn't paper gold. This isn't an IOU. This is real gold without bank vaults, storage fees, or gatekeepers. You can buy, sell, or move it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even when traditional gold markets are closed. And if you want, Tether Gold can be redeemed for physical gold. That's power. And when you support creators on Rumble, you can tip them directly using Rumble Wallet, peer-to-peer, secure, and outside the banking system. No permissions, no middlemen, no cancel button. This wallet is yours forever. Boom. Rumble Wallet.
Speaking of the Rumble Wallet, they're doing gold, but look at the silver spot price right now. $89.29. Marie, $89. $89. $89. Oh my gosh. I remember it's like, it's gone over 40. It'll never go higher. Oh my goodness. That was like 5 weeks ago. This is nuts. Okay, so when we get to the Arctic frost investigation, John Solomon has some extra information for us. Turns out an extremely publicly biased FBI agent was in charge of initiating all the investigations into Trump and his associates.
This weekend, we had a lot of impact from our reporting. President Trump himself has been shining light on our latest story on the Arctic frost investigation. That's an investigation that was like a giant fish dragging exercise, looking for any evidence that they could find to hang something on President Trump or his followers. We'll get to his reaction in a second. But first, some background on the new information that Just the News learned about and obtained over the weekend. It turns out an FBI supervisor who was openly opposed to Donald Trump, he actually posted his comments against Donald Trump on social media, played a crucial role in igniting the controversial Arctic frost probe, pressing to add the former president as a formal subject, even though they didn't have any evidence that the president was involved in the alleged behavior that they were investigating. To make his case, he wasn't sending around evidence. He wasn't sending around documents. He was sending around articles from liberal activists and left-wing news sources to make his case. That's according to evidence that was turned over to Congress, emails and electronic communications obtained by Just the News as well. Special Agent Timothy Tebow. That name sounds familiar, right? We've talked about him a lot on this show. He left his role as the assistant agent in charge of the Washington field office of the FBI in August 2022 after his anti-Trump social posts became public. By the way, Jerry Dunleavy, one of my colleagues here at Just the News, broke that story. But he's the guy that was trying to get this case on the ground. One of the things that case did is it paid an informant money for dirt on President Trump and his followers, $20,000. That's the story that we broke on Saturday. President Trump reacted to that today. President Trump reacted to the news story, the role of Tebow and others to try to get President Trump as a
okay, so a couple things there. So
I didn't catch the name.
Tim Tebow.
Oh, okay.
Timothy Tebow. So he is this. His name's been
player?
bantied about with the Russiagate and all these investigations because he was like initiating things, and he's just a rabid
Isn't he a
Trump
football
hater.
player?
No, that's Tim Tebow.
Isn't that what you said?
Yeah, but this is Timothy Tebow.
Okay.
It's spelled differently. It's THIBULT or AELT. It's in versus TEOBO or whatever. They're different, but they sound the same. So this agent was extremely biased, right? And one of the things you'll notice there is they just had no there. There was no criminal activity. So he was using punditry. He was using editorial columns that were just expressing opinions about Trump to create a narrative, to create a criminal predicate to go after Trump. So this information came out. Now, Timothy Tebow did get fired from the FBI a while ago, but we know there was at least 5,000 FBI agents involved in the January 6th prosecutions. There are thousands of agents that were involved in other political, prosecutions, cover-ups, crimes. Do you really want me defending the FBI, right? So Donald Trump put out this message. He's basically telling Cash, this is directly from President Trump, these FBI agents are total scum in their own way, no better than the insurrectionists in Portland, Minnesota, Los Angeles, etc. Cash better get them out now. And what are we supposed to do? Only pay attention to the all caps? Now! Radical left lunatics put in by the auto pen and Obama. So Kash Patel posted a little message on Truth Social and goes, "Oh, Trump, I'm doing it. I did it." He goes, "We've separated 187 agents from the FBI since Trump came into office. It's a little shy of the 5,000 that I would have expected, or at least 1,000. You know, I mean, I'll even give it a 1 in 5 chance that there was only one ringleader per 5 agents running around coming after us J6ers, right? So the fact that Kash Patel felt like responding that we have arrested some, meanwhile the actual subjects, some of the people named in that article, have not been fired. Guys, Kash is not doing what Trump wants. And apparently Donald Trump's been caught on a hot mic a couple times, and he's expressed private concern to people. This is being talked about on War Room and other places, that he's pretty upset with Pam Bondi. So Donald Trump is upset with his own DOJ, who up till now we've kind of had that, they're doing a good job, don't be upset with them. But where are the arrests? You can't even fire people from the FBI that are involved in these investigations.
So those guys are slow rolling again.
Some guys are slow rolling again. Now, George Papadopoulos, who I've had communication with, he owes me a book. I sent him $20 or $40 for a book. He never sent me the signed book. I have the actual, messages on my Twitter where I communicated with him. This is about 4 years ago now.
You better come through, buddy.
Yeah, I even messaged him again and was like, "Hey, you still got the book?" And he took a picture of a note saying, "Send to Taylor John Attackers," and they never sent me the book. So George Papadopoulos, you owe me a signed book or $40. Okay, but George Papadopoulos here. And now he was one of the first people that was arrested in the whole Russiagate thing. Remember, they tried to slip him $10,000 when he was overseas. And instead of taking it on the plane with him, because that's $1 over the limit for customs, he left it with an attorney in Greece, flew to the United States. They came and arrested him at the airport. "Where's your money?" "What money?" So they got caught in this weird spot where they assumed he had money, and then when he got there, he didn't have the money. How did they know he was going to have the money? Because they gave it to him to bring over to create the predicate to arrest him at the airport. And they didn't. You see, complete entrapment, total oak job here. His involvement with the campaign was he's kind of an energy expert. He's got some Middle East contacts for energy and stuff like that. But George Papadopoulos is obviously involved with this grand jury that opened up yesterday in Florida, January 12th, that's looking into the entire Democrat Party, this grand conspiracy case. And he reveals the way that the DOJ is going about investigating this case. They're looking at the entire Democrat Party as a criminal enterprise.
The FBI, the DOJ, the DNI, and the CIA are all looking at a 10-year-long government conspiracy case in which they're likely going to look at RICO charges, look at the Democrat Party and the left as some sort of criminal organization writ large. And people like Brennan, Obama, Comey, and the upper echelons of the Democrat Party are all now in the crosshairs of this grand jury that will be impaneled just today. The FBI, the DOJ.
So, Ron, how deep is this criminal conspiracy?
Well, this sounds like it could be the end of the Democrat Party.
Could be the end of the Democrat Party, but the Democrat Party is just an idea. It's just about plantation owners' control of their flock. You know what I mean? Okay, so
Antifa is just an idea too.
It's just an idea. Okay, so how deep could this go? So let's run back the tape again. We go to 2015. Trump comes down the escalator. All hell breaks loose. The FBI is actively trying to entrap not only the Hillary Clinton campaign, the Ted Cruz campaign, the Rubio campaign, the Trump campaign, right? They decide Hillary Clinton's going to win. Something happens in 2016. Trump wins. They go into panic mode. Barack Obama meets with Brennan, Biden, Monaco, a couple other people in the White House, says, go after Flynn because Flynn's the incoming DNI who knows where the bodies are buried. Because remember, General Flynn was the one intelligence person that's got up in Congress and said Al-Qaeda is growing and the threat of ISIS is increasing. Meanwhile, everybody else was like, they're fine. Barack Obama's doing great. That dollar bill diplomacy is doing awesome. Just keep sending pallets of cash. Okay. So Barack Obama already had an issue with General Flynn. You go back to the episode, it all started in Libya. You know, a lot of that is because Obama signed off on what Hillary Clinton did in Libya and General Flynn sat as witness to it all. Okay. And so General Flynn was first man out. They wanted to eliminate Trump. Trump's obviously talking about things like building a wall, redoing the banking system. It's crazy stuff, right? Trump comes in and it's just balls to the wall, Russiagate, collusion, and then Russiagate kind of pans out to be a complete dud. Mueller gets up and testifies, I don't remember. He's got dementia already, right? So Trump skates on that, and then comes out and all of a sudden, Ukraine. So not Russia anymore, Ukraine, quid pro quo. And we end up with an impeachment over Ukraine. While the impeachment on Ukraine is happening, which is going to be 1 or 2 votes short Oh, no, they needed 60 votes. They were quite a few votes short. But either way, right, it was Trump had to go through the ordeal, okay? And the outcome was not predetermined. He beats the impeachment, but during that week, COVID starts happening over in Wuhan, China. Pretty soon, COVID comes to our shores 2 weeks after Trump has this grand victory. We've beat the deep state. Now let's get to policy. Let's pass some bills. You guys don't think I'm a Russian agent or a Ukrainian agent anymore, right? Nope. Now we get COVID. We get lockdowns. We get mail-in ballots, suspending the Constitution, thing after thing after thing. Joe Biden's got audiences with 12 people in it, all spaced out. Trump's still running rallies with tens of thousands of people. But suddenly Joe Biden gets 20 million extra votes all through COVID. And they finally think Trump's put away. And then when he decides he's not done, they go ahead and they prosecute him, try to put him in jail. COVID was instrumental in that. So if we're looking at a 10-year conspiracy case, I mean, it's really easy to look at Russiagate. It's really easy to look at Adam Schiff. But have we talked about Dr. Fauci? Have we talked about Bill Gates? Have we talked about the big players who enabled the summer of 2020, not just COVID, but then the riots as well, that are part of this larger conspiracy narrative?
Man, this is a really good summary you're doing here.
Senator Johnson was on with Maria Bartiromo, and he says the thing that we've been saying for 5 years now.
I mean, it's just extraordinary to me that, the government was working with social media to amplify lies and suppress truth and has been doing so repeatedly. Why couldn't the American people know that, there were other alternatives to treat COVID? Why can't the American people know that there were side effects with the vaccine?
This was all pre-planned by an elite group of people. That's what I'm talking about. Event 201 that occurred in late 2019, prior to the rest of us knowing about this pandemic. Again, this is very concerning in terms of what has happened, what is happening, what continues to be planned for our loss of freedom. Again, it needs to be exposed, but unfortunately, there are very few people, even in Congress, that are willing to take a look at this. They all push the vaccine. They don't want to, be made aware of the fact that the vaccines might have caused injuries, might have caused death. So many people just simply don't want to admit they were wrong, and they're going to do everything they can to make sure that they're not proven wrong. We're up against a very...
But it was a pre-planned event. Event 201. I thought you were a conspiracy theorist. Nope, that really happened. They pre-planned it. And they pre-planned things like suspending constitutions and trying to do mail-in. This was all part of their pre-planning.
There's a lot of people that don't or won't believe that it was pre-planned, but people have to understand that there are memos, there are agendas with meetings that note and talk about it. There are budgets with agenda
detail. The censorship they would have to use online to counteract.
Well, they had budgets for all the money that they would need for all the programs.
All of it.
It was all planned.
All of it.
People here, Maria. But fortunately, you say, what can we do? Well, we do have reporters like yourself, like John Solomon, other people that have the courage to report the truth against the mainstream media and against the narrative. But that's the only way this is going to be solved, is we need the truth to be exposed. We need more Americans to listen to the truth, to be exposed to the truth, to pull their heads out of the sand, quite honestly, open up their eyes and understand what is happening in this country. We are going down a very dangerous path, but as a path that is being laid out and planned by an elite group of people that want to take total control over our lives. And that's what they're doing bit by bit. They do it by increasing massive government spending, increasing the size of government, takeover of the WHO. These amendments that are coming up that are going to be voted on in 2024 on the WHO are frightening, and they really risk taking away all of our sovereignty. People have to awaken to the dangers of the moment.
We have to awaken to the dangers of the moment. It's political in nature, and political is about power.
Yeah, what I really wanted to say was maybe it's time to cut cash loose, but man, if we start cutting people loose and trying to replace people in these positions that aren't ready to hit the ground running, it's just going to drag everything down, and we're not going to get the results we need.
I'd rather have 8 assistant attorney generals than fire one right now, because it's going to be 100 days to get their feet wet, to get their legs
exactly.
And it's like almost part of the delay tactic.
Exactly.
I mean? So I like what they did with Andrew Bailey. Bring him in 3 or 4 months before Bongino lives, set him in the desk next to him, let them work together, and then Bongino can leave, and there's not even a beat missed. You don't even have to hire a new deputy director because you already had one sitting there.
Did I say Bongino? I meant Patel, but same thing.
Well, Bongino left, but they brought in Andrew Bailey from Missouri as the deputy attorney general. But Kash Patel, same. Dude, bring it. I don't care. Bring 9 of these guys in. I don't, You know what I mean? At this point, remember, what did Mark Mitchell say? This is about results.
We just need action.
This isn't about due process. This isn't about checking every box. This is about results.
Yep.
Because just like what Ron Johnson says, these people are trying to take away your freedom. Do you think they care about checking the box? Do you think they care about not committing fraud? Clearly not. You want to know how depraved these people are? Listen to Miss Boebert asking the NIH, this is a reporter that did research into NIH about human/animal experimentation.
Implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
A lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that procedure.
Madam Chair, I think we need to look into
the horrors of what they've been doing over at NIH. Aborted fetal tissue being transplanted into animals. 90% of all human animal testing like that was being funded through Anthony Fauci and NIH. Right. Obviously, they were doing the gain of function research, skirting the law by outsourcing it to China and doing it through some grant process. Right. The whole thing, guys, the Democrat Party is a criminal organization. It's not just Somali fraud. It's not just open borders. It's not just interpreters and transportation and daycares. It's not just the Ukraine war and all the war hawks and warmongers. It's not just USAID and all the funding for retarded projects like lesbians
for Legos in Ukraine. I know.
Lesbian beauty hour in Ghana. You know what I mean? Like, it's not about all of that.
It's like
about
a Mad Lib.
This elite group of people who just want to take your freedom, control you, and have power. It just is that simple. So Trump is waging this 95 front war, right? In order for him to achieve the objective, he who saves the country, right, breaks no laws. In order for him to achieve that objective, he's got to take control and get influence back in these little centers of power. One of the big centers of power is obviously propaganda, the mainstream media. Trump's done a really good job of knocking MS Now and CNN and these different affiliate, ABC, CBS, to really knock them down a peg. He's done a really good job of that. But it doesn't change the fact that the majority of Americans still get all of their news on Facebook, Instagram. X is a little bit more middle of the road, but even it leans a little bit liberal, in my opinion. Right? Most Americans get their news through social media. So when Facebook was censoring certain topics, election integrity, COVID, Event 201, why didn't you hear about it in 2019 or 2020? I don't know, probably because of Facebook censorship. So yesterday, Facebook installed a new president and vice chairman. Dina Powell McCormick joins Meta as president and vice chairman, and this made Donald Trump very happy. Why is that? Because Dina used to work for Donald Trump.
What?
So she worked at Goldman Sachs. During her tenure, she spearheaded some of the firm's most influential and successful economic development initiatives, including 10,000 women, 10,000 small businesses, and 1 million black women. Okay, so she's DEI. In public service, Dina has served 2 U.S. presidents. She was deputy national security advisor to President Donald J. Trump and served as a senior White House advisor to Assistant Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice and under President George W. Bush. Most recently, Dina was vice chair, president, and head of global client services at BDT and MSD Partners. But she's in the Trump orbit. That's what's important. She was a national security advisor to Trump, and they just put her in at Meta. So that's actually a pretty big deal. Because, as you know, technology companies are constantly spying on you. So this is just a FYI. Your car is spying on you almost as bad as your cell phone. How much is your car tracking you? Polk County man suing Toyota alleges privacy violations. If it's not actually handled and litigated right now, it can only get worse. So basically, every time you get in your car, it's a smart car, it's connected to your phone. Yeah. It's capturing your braking data, your speed data, if there's any sensors, cameras, interior, exterior. Did you know that a lot of cars that you have no idea have an interior camera actually have an interior camera staring right at you? You have no access to it. You can't plug into it. There's zero way that you, the owner of the vehicle, can access that camera, but it's sitting right there in your rearview mirror, pointed right at you, the driver, and your car is grabbing that information and sending it on to the car company, who then turns around and can sell it to anybody they want.
Like the CIA.
One of the things it says in here is, and this is something that's been really interesting, you can get more information out of a private sleuth with commercially available data than the FBI or law enforcement can get without a warrant. So there's certain information that's literally sitting on the ground right there. And for $3, you can buy someone's passwords, iCloud account, their driving activity, all their pings. You can buy all of it. But law enforcement can't touch it. But as a private citizen, I can just purchase it for advertising purposes. So one of the things it says in here is it says, I should have found there's one sentence in here. He goes, be careful who might end up with the data at some point. You know, you put it out there, somebody is going to claim it's their First Amendment right to sell it and that it's open to the public. Again, he said, my privacy, again, is not open to your public. That's my privacy, my constitutional right to have a private life. Don't violate it. But I guess up here, he goes, it's absolutely unacceptable that you can purchase publicly available information that a law enforcement officer would have to get a warrant to get. Like, that's how sensitive some of this information that your car could just be tracking and sending up. So, and they're not nearly as data, like, you know, my iPhone is pretty locked down, right? You got to be a pretty high-end hacker to get into that thing. So any publicly available phone, like, you know, you got to be high-end, or I got to do something stupid like log into a free Wi-Fi at Starbucks. You know what I mean? Or something like that. But when you're talking about your car, any mechanic with the right plug-in code can just, and they can get all your messages. You know, on your phone, you have to facial ID and thumbprints and all that. But in your car, you just plug the thing in, you got it all. It's pretty incredible how powerful that is. Okay, so we are over 7:30. That's great. Carlite said, Pam and Cash have got to go. I know, man. I just don't know how to make it happen. What do we got here, Ron?
Just checking the landscape, see what we got here. Oh, we already did that one.
Let's do my gold guy. Like gold?
Okay, let's do it.
I want you guys to know this is a solid 8 cents right now.
If you've been paying attention to the direction this country is headed, you already know our financial system is being intentionally sabotaged. Inflation is not a mistake. It's draining your savings while the political elites consolidate power. This sounds like our show. Every time Washington prints another mountain of cash, your dollar becomes weaker and your future becomes more vulnerable. This is exactly you need to go to mygoldguy.com/rumble and get in touch with My Gold Guy. He isn't like the big name gold companies that bait people with free gold and silver coins while quietly inflating the prices. That is deception disguised as generosity. My Gold Guy refuses to play that game. He is a no-frills, America First precious metals dealer whose mission is simple: give you the best possible price so that you can protect your wealth without the gimmicks and without the smoke and mirrors. Go to mygoldguy.com/rumble, fill out the short form, and request your complimentary consultation. He will give you real information about the economy, the instability ahead, and how physical gold and silver can anchor your future when everything else starts shaking. And when you sign up, you'll get his free gold and silver guide, which every American who cares about financial security needs to read right now. Do not wait. Do not assume things will just work themselves out. Protect what is yours. Visit mygoldguy.com/rumble today. Get your consultation and get the guide. This is the time to act. Pooh.
Okay, so something just hit the wires just now 1 second ago, and I'm going to incorporate it in the show because I am that skilled and I can just immediately incorporate it.
Bam.
Live. I'm that good. Okay, so here's this is Secretary Wright explaining how significant it is what Trump's doing down in Venezuela. It's been a week. It's been a week since we captured Maduro. Has it even been a week? Was it Monday that we woke up and that happened?
Yeah,
was it Friday night? It hasn't even been an actual week yet.
I don't know.
And already we're talking about a recovered Venezuela. Okay. It's pretty significant. Like, apparently, if you kill the head of the snake, the steak stops withering pretty quick.
Anybody else?
The rattle's not rattling with quite the intensity.
And President Trump is on the cusp of, I think, maybe the greatest transformation from a societal collapse and brutal narco-terrorist dictatorship in Venezuela to a much better trajectory using American power, but no boots on the ground, no bullets, no American casualties. He's using commerce and energy to better our hemisphere and better our country. President Trump is on the cusp.
So he's on the cusp of changing Venezuela. Obviously, you've got stuff going down in Iran. This is what just hit the wires right here. So this is a post from Donald Trump. Iranian patriots. Now, remember, yesterday, Donald Trump got a call from the Iranian top officials, and they want to negotiate. They want to make a deal, he said. And Trump is saying, hey, lay off the protesters. We showed the footage yesterday of mass crowds at night out protesting in the streets in Iran, and that's happening all across the country. Trump posted this morning. Iranian patriots, keep protesting. Take over your institutions, all caps. Save the names of the killers and abusers. They will pay a big price. I have canceled all meetings with Iranian officials until the senseless killing of protesters stops, all caps. Help is on its way. MIGA.
Oh,
President Donald J. Trump. Do you know what MIGA stands for?
Yes, I do.
Make Israel great again.
That's not it.
I'm rolling my eyes, guys.
That's not
Trump's going to take a hit for that. He should have just put MAGA.
Yeah, he should have.
Oh, well, Mark Levin will be nice and happy. So Iran does look like it's on the cusp of toppling. Keep protesting. Take over your institutions. Save the name of the killers and abusers. Help is on the way. And we know about the triad of tier 2 states, Venezuela, Iran, and Cuba. And you probably throw North Korea in there. It's a quartet, right? Who are obviously all being puppeted by Russia, China, and some conglomeration of the two. Well, Tim Burkhart, who has been, watching politics his whole life, he's obviously a representative, but he's saying that this stuff in Venezuela is just on the verge of toppling Cuba as well.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett at the airport, going to head to D.C. Hey, saw where President Trump was putting pressure on Cuba by shutting down Venezuelan oil. Now, what he's done is it's really a masterful move. He's cutting off oil. China was there. There was no mistaking that timing. They're clearly going to make a move on Taiwan, and they need that oil. Russia needs that oil. And Trump took it over and seized it and embargoed it, I guess is what they say. But something else that he did was he stopped Cuba from getting it. Now, Cuba, of course, 90 miles off the coast of Miami, communist-owned run, used to cost Russia $1 million a day to keep them afloat, alive. And now, of course, they're bogged down in Ukraine. But by Trump seizing that oil and stopping the flow to Venezuela for the first time realistically in my life, we have a chance of making a change in Cuba. The Castros are murdering thugs, Fidel and his brother now, and whoever else. And it's just got to end at some point. When I was younger, I thought all our blustering talk was, we're gonna end Cuba, end the communist reign there, and it never happened. But this is a clear and decent shot we have. If anybody can pull it off, it's Trump. He understands. The most powerful thing we have is our military. The second most is our economic power. And that's what Trump's going to use. And he'll do it without firing a shot. So I support this move. I hope we can end the communist reign on Cuba. Those people have been imprisoned. And, that's why they're always trying to escape, get to Miami.
But what you have to realize is they have amazing health care. I mean, who really wants to run from health care? You've probably got people in Florida heading over to Cuba to get, their teeth checked up on or something. So that's really great. So Trump might topple Cuba without firing a shot. He might topple Iran with only bombing one nuclear facility. We'll see. Okay. Pretty significant here. Now, one of the things I've said before is my gang's bigger than your gang, right? At the end of the day, politics, international politics, this is about power and how you wield the power. This is our president. He's being about as thuggy as you could possibly get.
The United States seized 1.9 million barrels of oil on December 10th.
We're going to keep it.
Where's it? Are we going to sell it or put it in the strategic
Maybe
oil
we'll sell
reserve?
it. Maybe we'll keep it. Maybe we'll use it in the strategic reserves. We're keeping it. We're keeping the ships also. Yeah, please.
Sir, have you spoken to American oil companies that have had their assets seized about what a post-Maduro Venezuela would mean for them, of what coming back and restarting operations?
The big ones, yeah. I have. Yeah, please.
Don't cover up the hair, man.
It's Thug 101, man. We'll keep it. It's our oil. We'll keep it. All right, guys, that's it for our public show today. Please, please, please subscribe to the show if you haven't already subscribed. If you're just tuning in randomly, we would really appreciate that. Repost the show, spread it out to all the people that you follow and follow you on all the platforms. That would be highly appreciated. And please consider making a small donation to the Peasants Podcast on Rumble. You can do that by leaving a tip, or even better, subscribe for a monthly amount. You pick. I don't care.
Come on, give us some physical gold.
You gotta realize we just made huge investments in the podcast. We got a new microphone, which wasn't cheap. We've got new lights. Does the lighting look better today? We don't just have our little incandescent can lights here. We have actual studio lights, and we'll play around with them, try to get them better. Always trying to improve the show. Please put comments on any clips you'd like to see pulled out of the show today. We'd be happy to do that. Put it in the comments for the show. And with that, you guys, we are going to jump over into private. We're going to hear from Elon Musk and hear from Laura Logan talking a little bit more about Venezuela. So we'll talk to you guys again tomorrow. No raid today. Do it tomorrow.